Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews Saturday Conversation Show, an interview series where I talk to entertainment personalities, content creators, and filmmakers about their love and work in film. Today's guest is Colin Krawchuk, the director and creator of the Jester film series that began as a trilogy of short films on YouTube and now continues with the Jester 2 available now on video on demand. And I do highly recommend everyone check out the Jester Part 2 so we can check out this master of macabre, which is the character, do his thing once again on screen with even more inventive kills and another great story featuring a just fantastic new addition to the gallery of monster horror villains that are out there. And joining me right now is Colin Krawchuk to talk all things his career in the Jester. How are you, Colin?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I do kind of like we have a deep dive background into to people and kind of like the purpose of this show is kind of dive into where filmmakers and other people where their interest in movies come came from. I read somewhere that when you were a kid, you really liked watching kind of like behind the scene documentary stuff based on movies. You like to see kind of like us behind the curtain, how the things used to get made. I used to be the same. I remember when I was a kid that sometimes even on like just public free TV they would show kind of like behind the scenes footage. I remember seeing ones on Jurassic Park. I remember seeing ones on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I remember that was just the most remarkable stuff because number one, you get to see how they kind of like make the spaghetti sauce, right? But it's
Yeah.
also you kind of get a glimpse of these movies that you haven't quite seen yet in the cinema because back then there was no streaming, there was no DVD, there was no cable. That was my first
Yeah.
access to try to get to these movies. So, what was it about those kind of documentary style things that really kind of spoke to you when you were younger? It spoke to you as kind of like as someone who will later become a filmmaker yourself.
Well, I think it informed my love of movies because I loved movies always for as long as I could remember. But once I had the VHS copy of the making of Jurassic Park,
Hmm.
so I would watch that, and that was kind of my first exposure to how these things that I love so much were created, and seeing these masters of their time building and fabricating these things, and um it was like such a simple idea at the time was like, oh man, they shot that scene that took place outside inside of a building.
Hmm.
Like it was like real life magic to me. And instead of ruining the magic of movies, it only made me love them more because of it.
Did you make your own like films when you were a kid? Did you try to attempt, maybe grabbing your mum or dad's kind of camera if those went around and try to make your own things with action figures and such?
Um, Not really when I was a little kid. That was my all the movie making that I did was not recorded. I would literally have my like Lego figures writing a scene together and figuring out how we were going to play in the next Lego scene. But the first thing that I ever did record was on an iPod Touch in between band practices in high school. Me and a friend would run around the school since it was after school, we'd have percussion rehearsals, and we just shot little clips here and there on an iPod Touch because there was the Andrew Kramer action movie effects app where it could
Right.
just like composite in pre-made like crude visual effects, and that was the first time that I had done something out of pure like internal motivation where I want to learn how to use this. I want to learn how to use Windows Movie Maker. I want to learn how to use, these things that no one's telling me to do this. I just have so much of an interest that it's hard for me to stop wanting to learn more and more and more about it. And that was when I realized, I think I really want to do this. This isn't something that I just love as like a thing that, yeah, I love movies, meaning I just like to watch them and talk about them, but I actually want to learn how to make them.
What was your source of watching movies when you were younger? Was it the theater? Was it VHS, later DVD? Where do you usually get most of your film watching in?
We watched a lot on VHS and crossing over into DVDs. It was very exciting anytime my dad would come home from work and he had a DVD in his hand because he
Mm,
stopped by the store. Um, a little bit of Blockbuster, but honestly, the thing that my most frequent exposure to new movies was it Friday night or Saturday night HBO premiere. HBO would have premieres of like whatever new movie was going to be on cable that had released in theaters a few weeks or months prior. It was going to be on HBO for the first time, so they would do usually every week a big Friday night premiere at like 7 or 8 p.m. And that was where I remember seeing the most new movies as they came out. I would watch them with my parents a lot.
when did horror come into the equation? What were the films, the horror films that really kind of spoke to you, where you would kind of dive into making kind of like movies about, something like the Jester or the other great things you guys had over at the Make Do Entertainment YouTube channel?
That's a good question because when I was a kid, I hated horror.
Mm,
Everything was scary to me. I didn't even like watching. I remember there was a 6 days, 7 nights DVD that we had, and before the movie on those DVDs, they would play trailers for other
yeah,
movies.
right.
And there was a Halloween H2O trailer that would play, and I would leave the room every time it played because I was scared of watching a trailer. But I remember the first movie that I was able to recognize. I am no less terrified than I have been watching any of these other things, but I'm also like completely invested and like white knuckling this experience, and I was like so into it. Was Signs. I
Okay,
think
yeah.
that was our HBO premiere for that week, and I was so invested in that family's experience. And by the time the aliens were breaking into the house at the end, I don't know how fast my heart rate was, but what a relief it was when that movie was over. And that was just like what I can recall as being the first time that I was horrified and I was scared, but I wasn't leaving the room now. I
Mm.
was glued to the screen.
Does that lead to like a deep dive into Shyamalan and other kind of similar filmmakers? Because Shyamalan, especially at that time, like I remember seeing Sixth Sense in the cinema, and I was like, I got to watch everything this guy has. And I remember seeing Unbreakable and then Signs, and not so much after that. But there's kind of like such a generational filmmaker, like he was for a lot of people at the time, and so many careers were inspired from that. So was that something that you kind of looked into his career more, and that did that kind of spin off into other kind of filmmakers as well?
No, not really. It took a little while for me to realize that you can follow filmmakers' careers, you know?
Right.
I never when I was that age, I wasn't putting two and two together yet. But I think maybe the first filmmaker who I followed in terms of horror was John Carpenter. I mean, The
Hmm.
Thing is I think my favorite horror movie. That's the one that like broke open my imagination in a way that I don't know if any other film has since. But yeah, just Halloween is obviously like a big inspiration for the Jester, but there's something magical about The Thing in that that's a movie that you don't know anything other than the present situation. No character backstories, no origin of the entity, the creature itself. Everything is very, this is here and now, and then it's over. And I think it's a perfect movie. So every time I watch it, I'm like, God, how do you do this? How do you give basically no information or just enough information? And you just leave everybody wanting more. I think a lot of horror movies are made or broken by the big reveal at the end. What is this thing that's been thrilling us for the last 90 minutes? Oh, sometimes the explanation can be a little disappointing. So you don't have to worry about that with the thing.
What I love about the Jester films is that the ambiguity of the character himself. You don't know what he is, you don't know who he is, you don't know his backstory. And growing up watching a lot of horror, there was that whole Wes Craven set of rules kind of stuff that you have to have in regards to this must happen at this when this happens. There's a background to. I remember really fun with Nightmare on Elm Street. I used to watch those films a lot, and then with every movie, it's like another reveal, and it kind of takes away from the character being kind of like a sinister presence. Because to me, there's nothing more scary. It's like the movie Duel, the Steven Spielberg one. You don't know why the
Right.
guy in the truck is chasing him down, and I don't want to know why the guy in the truck. That's not the
Yeah.
point of the film, right? And I think something that the Thing does as well so well is like at the end of the movie, when you have that you don't know whether Kurt Russell or Keith David, you don't know whether one of them might be infected, and that's awesome. And to this day, I
Yeah.
don't want to know. And I know that a lot of people ask John Carpenter this question all the time, and I don't want this to happen. I don't want a sequel. I don't want anything. I want it to be kind of left alone. And I
Yeah.
imagine with you having that experience, does that form kind of like what the Jester is as well in regards as a character? That you want to say, look, I'm going to show you what he does, and I'm going to scare you with him, and I'm going to have you ask questions, but don't expect any answers from me in regards to who he is and what he is and where he might have come from.
Yeah, absolutely. The short film, the Jester was made for the short film format, so he was made to not exist for longer than 10 minutes at a time. We wanted him to feel like an urban legend that people talk about on Halloween,
Mm.
and that's something that doesn't require explanation. And I tried to carry that over to when we made the first feature. I tried to carry that over, and there was something that was cut from the first feature, which was everybody that heard of the Jester as they went around town had a different explanation as to what it was and where it came from. So
Right.
you still never knew. It's just playing with that. If you want an explanation, here's a dozen, and they're all different. So you still don't really have one. And because I love the fact that, like you said, we see what he does, we see how he responds in certain situations, and to me, that's more interesting than what exactly he is and where he comes from. Just the ending of the first Jester short, where he starts to do the same thing to different people, and because of their reaction, elicits a different response. That means, ooh, something's going on in this guy. He's got his own set of rules. I don't know what they are, but there's just enough information for me to know that he's not just like a one note bulldozer. And when you're told, because you are told that you have to make rules, you know, we need an origin story, blah blah blah, all these things. I try to, you know, find a way to meet in the middle and okay, here's a folk tale that I found. You know, it's a real folk tale about the legend of Stingy Jack, which is about the origin of the jack-o'-lantern. I can pull from this folk tale to inform the Jester's origin, but the story, mild spoilers for Jester 2, but the story of the Jester's origin is told by the Jester himself, who we all know is a manipulator and a liar.
Hmm.
So you can choose to believe the story if you're somebody who desperately wants to know where the Jester came from, or if you'd rather not know, just assume that it's another lie that the Jester is telling. So that was a way that I kind of tried to appease the you must have an origin in this movie and myself, which would rather the Jester remain more mysterious.
So in other words, the Jester is the Kaiser Soze of the horror monsters.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, he's looking around the room and seeing jack-o'-lantern over here, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Hi guys, Matt here from Matt's Movie Reviews, letting you know that the Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel has launched channel membership. This provides exclusive videos and other cool stuff as well for all channel members. It's under one tier, one price, and with that one price you get exclusive reviews. For example, I'll be going through the American Film Institute's top 100 movies. So every week I'll do a new review based on that movie list. You can get exclusive reviews based on your requests. Request a movie review and I will review it for you. You'll also get exclusive content for behind the scenes stuff as well. You also get exclusive interviews that I haven't posted yet. as part of my podcast, like older interviews with Academy Award winners and other great filmmakers and actors as well, and all of a bunch of other cool stuff as well. I hope you can all join up, be part of this great experience I have an offer for you. Support indie content creators, support a movie critic like myself who is trying to make it through the content creator space. Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel memberships. Please join and get some great exclusive content. I want to move on to this game I like to play with my guests. It's called Choose Between Two. So essentially, I'm going to give you an option between two. You're going to choose one and just kind of just expand on your choice. Are you ready to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask anyway. This is the battle of the sci-fi horror movies: Alien or The Thing.
Oh my God. When you said Alien, I was like, well, this is gonna be easy. And then you had to say the thing.
Well, to me, they're the
Um,
two. They're the two in that particular subgenre that the standard. You know,
Man, I never thought I would ever have to make this choice ever. Um, I'm gonna say the thing.
that's the right
The thing
answer.
is
I
just, yeah,
agree.
it's just, I love, I also think Alien is a perfect movie. I love everything about it. I think Alien is a masterclass in production design and tone and atmosphere. Though, and it takes what is a really, I think Dan O'Bannon even said as much. He wanted to take a B movie uh, premise, or maybe it was Ridley Scott that said this, and apply it to an A movie, like a big budget sci-fi horror movie. And I think it nails that. The the reason I feel like the thing edges it out for me is the inherent creativity of what the thing is and can do.
Hmm.
The alien is amazing. We all know it, but I've never seen anything quite like the defibrillator scene in the thing anywhere else. It's
No,
just like, yeah, that's a scene that you watch and you go, damn it, somebody already did it. Somebody already made the best thing ever.
that scene in the kennel scene as well. I mean, totally
Yes.
just nuts, batshit crazy nuts, and gotta
Yeah.
love it.
Still super effective when I show that movie to people who've never seen it. They still
Yeah,
can't believe it comes out of
absolutely.
nowhere.
Next one, the Battle of the Silent Killers: Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
Michael Myers, hands down. And
Yeah.
what you were talking about earlier, you'd use Nightmare as an example, but I think another really good example is Halloween,
Mm.
because the first Halloween movie is so perfect in its no explanation of Michael. You have Loomis running around ranting and raving about there's evil in his eyes and the devil in his eyes and blah blah. Nobody really knows what that means. He's and that's about all the information that you get. And then of course the subsequent movies have to tie Michael and Laurie together somehow, and then there's the Thorn cult and all that stuff, and it completely erases any of the mystery. And I don't know. It also feels like it takes away some of Michael's agency. We
Mm.
don't know what his motives are in the first Halloween, but he has them. He doesn't kill those kids in broad daylight when he's walking around the school. Something's going on in his head. And then just to have it explained away as he's like a byproduct of this goofy cult just, reduces that significantly.
Absolutely it does. And I think John Carpenter himself never wanted any more than that first movie, right? But I guess the machine's sometimes so big that it kind of takes over, and then and before you know it, it's like you're having these retroactive sequels that kind of eliminate everything
Yeah.
else, and then those don't even live up to the expectations. But we always got that first one, and I think that the first one is still like fantastic in regards to what it is and what it set beforehand.
Yeah.
Um, you're watching the film and you're watching like a horror or sci-fi. What would you rather see, CGI or practical effects?
Ooh, this is a contentious subject, it feels like nowadays. And again, I feel like the thing has been put in the crosshairs of this conversation directly due to the
Mm,
2011 prequel that came
yeah,
out. Um, we all love watching these original, like, for example, we all love watching the original thing because that defibrillator scene is always going to hold up. It's incredible. And things might not hold up as well in the 2011 one, but the specific thing about that movie is they shot it with practical effects, with CG to supplement things,
Yeah.
which is to me the best. That's the best. It's not going all one or all the other. Um, but to erase all the work that was done by Studio 80i and Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis and all those guys and paste over it, that was like exceptionally unfair.
Mm.
Um, so my answer would be both, but if I had to lean one way, it would be practical because we had decades of practical that still hold up, and there's only a handful of CG I feel like that will hold up in the future, as opposed to like the ratio to CG that will live on to number of CG movies out there is pretty great, I think.
When you're at home, how are you watching movies? Physical media or streaming?
Physical media. I'm a huge home theater nerd.
Mm.
For fun, I read reviews on 4K Blu-rays. So physical media all the way. Sometimes I just find myself staring at my shelf, not because I can't decide what to watch, just because I like looking at all of them.
Last one. You go to the cinema. What are you snacking on? Popcorn or candy?
Hmm. I think candy. Yeah. I like Reese's Pieces.
Hmm.
Um, but I also it's a problem if I get Swedish Fish because I can't stop eating those either. So maybe popcorn is the safer choice, but I would I think I would go to candy.
Um, a name that's very important to the development of you as a filmmaker and such, especially in the Jester universe, is Michael Sheffield. How did you and Michael meet? What was the first kind of like coming together of you two and that led to this kind of collaboration between the two from Make Do Entertainment and now with the Jester films?
He and I went to the same film school. That's where we met. And I remember there was some I don't know, we had to write a fake commercial for some product and go around the room and read our scripts out. And he read his script, and it was the same brand of like absurdist, goofy comedy that made I was the only one laughing at his script in the room when he was reading it. So um, we would often put ourselves together and work on things together during school, and then once that was over, we ended up shooting a short film on. Oh, actually, I think the first thing we did was a 48-hour film project, and that was the first thing we did outside of school with a few members of our class, and then we went on to shoot our first short film, Echo, and that was just us and a few of our friends, and we were the only ones who continued to shoot just our own kind of like original narrative short films just for fun on our YouTube channel from that class. Um, yeah, we just kept going.
Is the YouTube channel you're referring to the Make Do Entertainment we see now, or is that something
Yeah.
that's always been there? Yeah.
Hmm.
What's really interesting about that is that, so I read that when it came to doing Make Do, this was just a way for you guys to just put your videos online. It wasn't no big strategy thing. It was like, oh, we need to hit a certain amount of subscribers here or whatever there. And which is funny because
Yeah.
I, as myself, as someone who's like doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, I listen to a lot of YouTube podcasts. And it's all about you got to think about the strategy and the scheduling and what you're going to make and who are you and that stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys were just like, we just want to put our stuff up there and whatever happens, happens. And then something does happen. Those short films become really big. Once that happens, once you have all these short films and those Jester short films hit, and becomes like this viral thing. Like that first one, I think is up to like 18 million views now or something like that, which is an incredible number. Does that kind of change your perspective of what the YouTube channel was to you guys after that? When that happens, do you start thinking of more of a, I don't know, revenue making production kind of thing, or is it still the same thing where you guys are just saying, look, this is awesome, but we're just going to stick to what we did in the first place because what we did in this first place worked, and people really dig it.
Yeah, it was definitely the latter because we just like everybody after film school, we wondered, well, now what? What do
Yeah.
we do? Are we gonna do local band music videos or wedding videography, or are we gonna like uproot our lives and move to LA and fail? Or are we just going to in my, for my from my perspective, it was I always want to enjoy this. And I feel
Hmm.
like if I'm doing this, but a version of it that I'm not passionate about, then I'm not going to want to I won't be motivated to continue to do the version that I am passionate about. If I have to shoot this thing, you know, all day, working on this thing for a week that is just a means to an end, what part of me is going to want to, go through that again for a thing that I'm not getting paid for? So we just said we're just gonna we're gonna do our filmmaking thing um, for things that we really enjoy, whatever that is and whatever that looks like, and however long that takes. And we have we're not beholden to any schedules or anything in terms of timelines in making these things. Um, and once the Jester blew up, it did not become well, now we have to capitalize on that with this channel and turn it into, Jester Central, or turn
Hmm.
it into some kind of, I don't know. It was just, well, maybe more people will see our stuff because we like our stuff, so maybe that means somebody else will. And the funny thing is I I love the Jester, but there's a part of me that also does feel like the Jester is a curse because after we made that second Jester short, it didn't matter what else we put out. And I'm really proud of some of the stuff that we put out after that. We worked really hard on a lot of those things, and every thing we put out always was just inundated with where's the next Jester short? Where is Jester chapter 3? So we made a chapter 3 for those people to say, now this is it. Now you can
Hmm.
stop asking. And then it was, where's Jester chapter 4? And we could not escape the one success that we had. So, but yeah, it's exactly what you said. It was, we're not going to change what we're doing now because what we did before was just make a thing that we really wanted to make. And it just so happened that it was a thing that people really wanted to see. I don't think anybody can anticipate and you see it with studios all the time. One movie comes out that blows up and everybody's talking about it, and then suddenly everybody's putting those kinds of movies out. And it's a, not a it's that's not the reason that that movie succeeded. It was a supply and demand problem. People were demanding
Hmm.
something that had no supply. So some filmmaker made a thing because that filmmaker wanted to see that kind of movie, and so did a bunch of other people. But now they have that movie, so making a dozen others, it's uh, people aren't craving that anymore, a lesser version of that. So we didn't want to fall into that trap. We just kept making things that we really wanted to make, and that was enough for us. And we never anticipated it turning into a situation where we'd have two feature films on our hands.
I'm really interested in the creation of a character like a Jester, and I read some things. I just want to confirm if this is true. Is it true that the original mask came from a Walgreens? Like it was just a mask that you guys found there and you purchased it like $5 or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was actually $6.
$6. Okay, my mistake, sir. And is it also true that the suit, I forgot where you guys found the suit, but the salesman was kind of like, hey, we got this suit, and you're like, oh, I don't know, it's orange. And the guy's like, well, orange is the color of Halloween. And you guys went, God damn it, he's right. Orange is the color of Halloween. And that's pretty much how the suit
Yeah.
came. Is that pretty much right as well?
Yeah, it was I remember on the clearance rack there was the Jester orange suit. It was like a party suit, one of those like cheap polyester suits hanging up on
Hmm.
one side, and then next to it was what everybody knows now as the David S. Pumpkins suit. So it was the black
Hmm.
suit with all the little jack-o'-lanterns all over it. And we were debating. This was a time where we were debating on which one to get, and we almost got the David S. Pumpkins suit, which would have been terrible for us.
Right.
But yeah, it was the orange one, and we liked the idea of a solid color. I just wasn't so hot on orange, and it was the laziest. Well, orange is Halloween. Ah, yeah, that's true. So I had a friend of mine who does a lot of prop fabrication and cosplay in his free time. I was like, can you just like weather and like dirty this suit up to knock some of this orange down a bit, make it less like loud? And that it's just it was things like that where it's like I would love to be the guy who's like, oh yeah, I just in a dream I was like, it's an orange suit and he looks exactly like this, but no, it was just like all these things incrementally just informed what the Jester looked like. It was completely a response to a situation as opposed to a fully formed idea.
Well, don't forget the whole Michael Myers masking was a William Shatner
Yes.
mask, right? And just painted white. Sometimes the best ideas come from just spur of the moment, kind of that instinctual kind of impulse kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And look at it now. I mean, you guys are like two feature films in. And speaking of cosplay, I'm sure people are out there lately have been doing the Halloween Jester suits. Do you ever get people come up to you with photos or send you stuff online of anyone dressed up as the Jester for Halloween, or is that orange suits too hard to get by these days? You got the
No,
last one
we
on the rack.
yeah, yeah, we did. That's why we had to get two different sizes for Mike, and that was the whole thing. But um, the first time I ever saw that, I think it was way before any of the features, but it was somebody in I forget which country it was, but it was a country on the other side of the planet from us, and this guy had made this orange suit. He made the Jester mask himself from like paper mache, and it looked great. And I like I couldn't believe that. I was like, this guy put more effort into the Jester suit than we did, and
Yeah. Probably
he
spent more
he
money too.
yeah, and it's like the unbelievable is, and it was able to reach somebody on the other side of the planet, and like connected with that person enough that he put what must have been hours of his life into this suit. And yeah, seeing that for the first time was just like it was so wild. And then after the first movie came out, I think Tyga like he posted himself in a Jester suit, which was like, what planet am I on? But and then we actually had a local guy. We were doing the 48-hour film project in Orlando one year, and at the kickoff, all the groups are there in this big room, and some guy like spotted us from across the room and came up to us and he was like, "Are you guys the guys who made the Jester short?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, that's us." And he pulls out his phone. He's like, "I dressed up as the Jester last year for Halloween."
Very
And we
cool.
were like, "What?" Like this guy in this room has the photos on his phone of himself as the Jester. It's just like unbelievable.
I think it's awesome though. It really is. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by Amazon Prime Video. One of the best on-demand streaming services available, Amazon Prime Video features exclusive Amazon originals as well as popular movies and TV shows. Watch Amazon Prime Video anytime, anywhere. Um, I want to move on to another game I like to play. Rapid fire questions. Going to throw some questions at you. You just whatever comes up first, just tell me, and then we can just speak more on it. So the first question I have for you might take a little while to gestate this one, but scariest moment in a horror movie that you've ever seen?
I'm gonna default to Signs because it was the movie that had the biggest impact on me, and it's the classic news footage that Joaquin Phoenix is watching in the closet of the alien at the birthday party where it walks out from the cornfield and around the wall. Oh, I love I love that scare so much because it is not a jump scare. It doesn't
Mm,
behave like a jump scare. It behaves like real news footage. And because you're so, or for me, I was so invested in that movie that at that point when the alien, it's your first time seeing an alien in that movie, it just, it's very almost pedestrian in its presentation when it walks out. It was the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen. So, yeah, I mean, that's one that sticks in my mind for sure.
You know what I love about that scene as well is the way that Joaquin Phoenix plays it. Is there's a humor to
Yeah,
it in that he's looking at the TV and it's like
yeah,
it's because he's like "Vamonos, children, vamonos" because it's like
yeah,
Mexico, right? So and
yeah.
you're like, yeah, yeah, move out of the way.
Yeah, we're all Joaquin in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That selection you made, this is two Saturday conversations in a row where my guest has chosen that scene, the exact scene.
Really? Who was the other
So.
one?
So I spoke to a producer here in Australia. Her name's Helen Tuck. She works for Dead House Films here. And before that, she was a makeup and prosthetics artist. So she worked on Talk to Me and Thor, Love and Thunder and a bunch of stuff like that as well.
Oh,
So that was her choice as well because Signs was like a big movie for her as well when she grew up. So that choice as
awesome.
well. And it is a great choice. It's a excellent scene. Um, what's your favorite mask in a horror movie? There's been a lot of masks, from Mike Myers to Scareface. There's been a whole bunch of them. Is there one that really kind of sticks out to you? I know I have a favorite, but do you have one yourself?
Honestly, I mean, I think Michael Myers is my favorite slasher, but and I have my own, feelings about the David Gordon Green trilogy that was made,
Hmm.
but I think that mask, oh, come on. That mask looks great. It's
Yeah.
everything you want, which is why it exists. It's everything you want as a Halloween fan, and just like perfectly aged. It's. I don't know why he has it. I don't know if a mask would actually degrade that way. It doesn't matter at all. It's just so you think of it's what you think of when you think of old Michael Myers or aged Michael Myers. It is a perfectly designed mask, I think.
One that sticks in my head a lot of time is Leatherface, considering what the mask is made out of. And I think that's what makes it kind of like so disturbing, right? And another one as well, I guess you can consider it horror, is the Hannibal Lecter face guard that he
Yeah.
has. Because you just imagine walking down the street and someone's wearing this, like, why the hell did they need that on their face for, So I always loved that one too.
Something else I
Um,
want to point out real quick. I
yes, go
just want to
ahead.
mention another mask now that I thought for more than a second about it because he's the same guy that designed our mask, but Jason Baker's Black Phone mask I think is
Nice.
kind of
Yes.
genius. I think the all of the masks that we've talked about are uh they're static and prone. They're just what you see is what you get. What you see is awesome, but that's the only iteration of it that there is. And the Black Phone mask has all these like interchangeable expressions, and you can have only one component on at a time. It's just
Hmm.
like one mask can do a dozen things now, and the design of it is awesome. So, I'm not gonna say, yeah. I just wanted to mention that the Black Phone mask is an incredibly well designed mask for a horror movie.
The Jester, of course, does a lot of magic tricks and such in the movie. Is there ever a magic trick that you watched, whether it be a mentalist or illusionist or whatever, could be on YouTube, could be in real life, what have you, that really kind of made you just say, holy shit, how did they pull that off?
Um, yeah, I'm sure there is. I can't think of any right now because I don't really think about magic very much. The magic aspect was just something that was interesting, an interesting detail to give the Jester, but um I am an, and I'm not saying this to disparage people who are fans of Magic, but I just am not a super fan. I see a magic trick, I think it's very cool, and then I move on with my life, and I don't really spend a lot of time trying to figure them out. I think the once you if you ever get a chance to learn about how a magic trick is done, I think the art of execution is astounding on how. whether it's small close-up magic or, big stage things, how they're executed. But yeah, just I'm a very passive observer of magic tricks. I don't know, the putting a nail through your hand. I'll just say that.
Last one, and this is the most important question you're going to receive today, maybe for your lifetime.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
And you are correct. Thank you.
All right,
I've
good.
had a lot
I
of
got that
I've
right.
had a lot of I've had a lot of yeses lately, and I've been in despair in regards to that. So thank you, Colin, for resetting
Yeah, I got you. Don't
my
worry.
thank you. Um, so we got Jester 2 out now in video on demand. I'm just curious what the future holds for yourself and for Michael and for Make Do and everything else that's associated with that. Because I read somewhere there like you really like kind of like absurdist comedies, kind of like Naked Gun and Airplane and stuff like that. And you like to try to make something like that, which I'd love to see because I think we need more of those kind of films. Like I loved my favorite film from last year was this film called Hundreds of Beavers. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a fantastic
No,
movie.
it's on my list.
I
I've
think
heard
you'll
nothing
really
but great
like it.
things about it.
And so that kind of like goes into that kind of territory. Naked Gun, the reboot or whatever you call it, came out. A lot of people dug that as well. So I think we need more of that kind of humor. We need more of that kind of, especially that kind of what do they call the Zucker brother kind of stuff that was done so well.
Yeah.
Is that something you could foresee yourself working on, whether it be in a short or a feature or something like that? Or do you think that horror is going to be, or horror genre is going to be the lane that you're going to be sticking in for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean that's honestly it's my question as well. I'm not sure what the future looks like or what it's going to hold, but I want to keep making things. I would ideally, I think if it were up to me, I would say I would want to make all kinds of different things. I definitely want to play around more in horror, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be something completely different because that's what I think horror is so malleable and it can be so many different things. I don't think there's a bigger genre umbrella than horror. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the Mel Brooks and Zucker Brothers, and it's sad that we don't have a lot of that anymore. And
Yeah.
I was not at all expecting the new Naked Gun movie to nail it as well as it did. But I don't know if I've laughed harder at a movie in years. And it is it's like a positive jealousy as opposed to a toxic one where I see something like that and I'm like, yes, yeah, I want it. That looks like so much fun. Like I just want to do something like that. Um, yeah, I would love to play around in a lot of different things and not be pigeonholed.
They're filming Spaceballs 2 here in New South Wales.
Yeah. Oh, really?
hmm they
Awesome.
had some photos of a table read and stuff like that. So it'd be really cool to see what Mel Brooks comes up with. Like I think he's in his 90s now, right? So him and Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood are both jockeying for position for the oldest living prolific directors. But it's gonna be interesting to see how something like that turns out because, like I said, I think we need more laughter in film in cinemas these days. I think TV kind of has hijacked that kind of stuff for a little while now. We need it back in movies though, because there's nothing better than watching, I did a review on Airplane like 5 months ago. Still holds up, still fantastic. So it'd be great to see
Yeah.
a director like yourself, Colin, try to go down that road and try to do something like that. Until then, for everyone out there listening, the Jester 2 available video on demand. I really recommend everyone check out Jester 2, the first movie, the trilogy of short films, all of it, because I really love this character. I love the approach towards it. I love the look. I love the fact that even though he's a cold, heartless bastard, he's a bit of a gentleman as well. He's got a particular set of manners you have to live by. Which makes me think that maybe his backstory could be a busker who like didn't get enough get enough for his magic tricks, and so if you don't say thank you, you're gonna get hell for it. But yeah, I just gotta say congratulations to you for this because I think it's so great to be able to see another horror movie monster, back in the gallery of this of these movie monsters, and to do it from the independent film perspective, and through the YouTube shorts as well. I think is a fantastic thing and very inspirational. I think it'll be for a lot of people. So, Colin, thank you so very much, and best of luck for whatever comes next for you.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.